What is up, party people? We got another tier list Thursday. Get hyped. I want to see dubs in chat. Now, we're coming at you with a pseudo legendary Pokemon tier list. Now, some of my most loyal viewers may be thinking to themselves, what's going on? I thought this week, peek behind the curtain, I thought what we had planned was a WWE Superstar entrance theme tier list. And that's still planned. That's still in the works. However, I am going through a move right now, and I need to make something that I can just quick pop out, get it out of here. That WWE one would have taken way too long. There's only 10 pseudo legendaries, and as much as I fucking ramble and yap, this one ain't gonna be too long. But without further ado, let's get right into it. We're gonna start off with Dragonite. Dragonite is a Pokemon who I'm gonna put him in A tier. No, B tier. I'm gonna move him down to B tier. He has grown on me quite a bit. I used to, when I was a child, first getting into Pokemon, first playing Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Dragonite was the coolest thing ever. He was a pseudo legendary. Lance had him. He used fucking Hyper Beam, the coolest move ever when you're 6. And so I thought Dragonite was awesome, but as I got older, I thought he was dumb and goofy looking. Excuse me. I didn't really care for him. He didn't really do anything all too well, like competitively. He got Extreme Speed, I believe, in Gen 4, and that's his bread and butter now. Especially Gen 9, Terra Normal Extreme Speed Dragonite goes crazy. But for the longest time, Dragonite didn't really have much of a niche. I thought he looked goofy, and he still does look a little goofy, but it's a goofy in a way that's definitely grown on me. He's friend-shaped. I mean, look at this little art for him. He's given a little wave. That's a friend. Who just so happens to be really powerful. But, yeah, I don't have a ton of personal experience with Dragonite. They're pseudo-legendaries. None of these Pokemon are easy to acquire in their games, except for, one of them. But good solid B tier for Dragonite. Now, unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but the tier list peaks at the second entry. I fucking love Tyranitar. Tyranitar is, spoiler alert for whenever I do my fucking all 1,000 plus Pokemon tier list. Tyranitar is my second favorite Pokemon ever. Second behind Nidoking. A second spoiler. I fucking adore Tyranitar. What is there not to love about him? First of all, that design, fucking badass. This dude is sick. This dude's awesome. He's Godzilla. He was like the first Pokemon who was just Godzilla. And as this tier list goes on, you're gonna find out that like kaiju Pokemon, I really like. I like Godzilla. So kaiju's, they're gonna be real hard for me to fuck up for me. Fucking Dark type, my favorite Pokemon typing. He competitively, we can talk about how good he is competitive and how Gen 2, he was alright, didn't do it too much. But from Gen 3 to Gen 8, that motherfucker ran shit. Fucking 5-6 consecutive generations of OU and being one of the best Pokemon. Hell, Gen 3, he's the best Pokemon in OU. The entire metagame is centered around, sand being up because of Tyranitar. Pokemon that can deal with sand well are good. Pokemon who really get, fucked over by sand become bad. Because every single match is going to have a Tyranitar. It's almost like that fucking Gen 2 Snorlax stat. Snorlax only has a 50% win rate in Gen 2 OU because every single team has Snorlax. He's... God, those fucking... I mean, let's talk about Sandstream some more. The fact that he's a rock type, he effectively has the highest base stat total out of every pseudo legendary because he's almost always going to be in sand. I mean, every time he gets swapped in, he's going to be in sand, and since he's a rock type, he's getting that 25% special defense boost, and it just makes it to where he's the only downside about him is that he's slow, but you can work around that, trick rooms or whatever. Or even so, you can just... It doesn't even matter that he's slow, because he's so goddamn bulky, especially in the sands, and he just hits like a fucking truck. He's got the second highest attack stat out of the entire, pseudo legendaries, or something around that. He's real high up there. I mean, the name Tyranitar, fucking sick. Unfortunately, he does kind of get knocked a few points just from the fact that he's so difficult to acquire. Like, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, you can't get a Tyranitar until Mount Silver. Well, you can, actually, that's a lie. You can get one in the remakes, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. You can get a Larvitar in the Safari Zone, but in Gold, Silver, Crystal, you ain't getting a fucking Larvitar until Mount Silver. So right until you beat the final like super boss of the game. I don't really know how accessible Tyranitar is in the other games, but I mean none of the pseudo legendaries are all that accessible. But he's especially inaccessible in his own generation. But I love Tyranitar. I could sing his praises all day. Sick stats, sick typing, sick concept, sick design, and he's absolutely fucking baller and competitive. But I'll move on before I get stuck on it for too long. Up next, we have Salamence. I think Salamence is in a weird position for me, because he's kind of goofy looking, in the same way Dragonite is, but Dragonite's goofy in, like, a friend-shaped way. Salamence is goofy in, like, he's supposed to be cool and badass and intimidating, but this will never be cool and intimidating to me. He looks stupid. Why is he built like a fucking pancake with legs and wings? Like, why is he so fucking, like, why is he Flat Fuck Friday? Like, what's going on with that? Why does he have to be like that? Game Freak, why you do this to my man? But you know what? I think I'm gonna move both of these guys down, because S tier, I'm looking at the other ones. S tier, I'm going to save for Tyranitar, because I really do just love him that much more than every other Mon. And C tier, I think is more reflective of how I feel. No, I'll move Dragonite back up to B tier. Salamence is C tier. There will be a D tier, potentially 1 or 2. That does not mean I don't really dislike any of the pseudos, but on like ranking them based compared to the other pseudos, yeah, some of these guys are getting D tier. I mean, but then there's like my whole thing is, if a Pokemon's really good and competitive, I'm gonna respect him, I'm gonna like it, and Salamence is very good. I mean, he got banned in Gen 4 OU alongside another pseudo legendary for being too good, for just wrecking shit too much. He's alright. He's alright in Gen 3. He's very good. He's a solid threat, but he doesn't, he don't run shit like my boy T-Tar. He don't run shit like T-Tar. I mean, but Gen 6, he got Mega Salamence, which I'm noticing no Megas, but we got Hisui and Gudra, which I feel, I don't know. It's neither here nor there. Gen 6, he got Mega Salamence, and I think Mega Salamence looks stupid. I don't really care for his design, but holy shit, he was like, if you weren't running Mega Salamence, at least VGC-wise, your only options for Mega were Mega Salamence and Mega Kangaskhan. Everyone else they outclassed everyone so much that there was no point in using them. And I didn't really keep up much with, like, the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire era of Gen 6 competitive. I don't know if Salamence is banned from singles. He probably is. But, the main problem is, yeah, he's cool, he is strong, he has good stats, but come on, look at him. I'm never taking this shit seriously. But the shade of blue and red does look nice. We're back to a banger, though, with Metagross. Metagross is so sick. Steel Psychic, sick typing. I mean, Lance has one. Not Lance, I'm sorry, Steven. Steven has a Metagross, and it's his ace, because why wouldn't it be? Metagross is so fucking cool. Let's talk about that design. Look at this big body motherfucker. Like, I mean, he's in goddamn Smash, for fuck's sake. He looks like a brick shithouse, or I guess like a steel shithouse. You look at Metagross, and you instantly know this motherfucker don't play around. This is a very striking, this is a powerful design. I mean, it's made of metal, but it looks like its arms are, like, fucking bulging with muscles. And the big X on his face with the red eyes looks sick, looks like he'd be looks like he was designed to either kill or made by the X-Men. Which is definitely a plus. Shout out to the X-Men. If you're watching this, shout out to the X-Men. Another thing, ungodly good shiny. Metagross, I believe, has the best shiny out of every pseudo. I'm realizing now I do not know what Baxcalibur's shiny looks like, but I think it's still safe to wager that Metagross's is cooler. He goes from blue and silver to a white and gold, which looks so cool. Thankfully, his Mega, I'm not accounting into this too much. I think Mega Metagross looks fucking stupid. But, you know, they're not on the list, so they're not getting ranked. Another thing with Metagross, I mean, in the original Nuzlocking, the original Pokemon Emerald, or Pokemon Red hard mode, 4chan comics, I mean, Metagross wiped house, you know, the fucking main character, the dude doing that the first ever Nuzlocke. Metagross ended his shit, and you know what? For being the gatekeeper, you know, the man who laid to waste the first ever Nuzlocke, hey man, that deserves some respect. That, you know, that he should get a badge for that. He should get a goddamn medal. But Metagross is really cool. I mean, I don't know if it'll ever come up. It will come up in future tier lists with Pokemon I do, because I'm going to be making a lot of Pokemon tier lists. I'm not as familiar with Gen 3, unfortunately. I mean, my first games were Gen 4, were the Gen 2 remakes in Gen 4, and then I played Gen 5. And then, you know, so on and so forth. But I just came out, you know, and like those games, none of them really have a bunch of Gen 3 representation. And, you know, Gen 1's in every single fucking game. But I just, you know, I kind of missed out on Gen 3. It was like the one of the original 4/5 generations. Or I guess every generation, not Gen 9, was technically in my childhood. But it was it was like the one generation that I missed out on in my childhood. I mean, obviously I didn't play Gold, Silver, Red, Blue, but, you know, I experienced Johto and Kanto. Never experienced Hoenn. Shit, I've never even beaten a Gen 3 game. The furthest I ever got, I had Alpha Sapphire, and I lost that at, like, a family friend's, like, one year in Thanksgiving, and I only got, like, halfway through the game. So, Gen 3, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your game. But despite that, Metagross, I still rank highly. He's still sick as hell. Speaking of sick as hell, we got Garchomp, another A tier. You know what? No, I'm going to make a new tier list for Tyranitar specifically, because he really deserves that. He is head and shoulders above everyone else. We're just gonna call it the T-Tar. Okay, cool. Don't capitalize the first one. The T-Tar tier. You know what? Let's just call it TTT. The T-Tar tier. And I'm going to move Garchomp up to S tier. Garchomp, you want to talk about a pseudo-legendary who ran shit? He got banned to Ubers. He was running shit too much in DPP. He was too good in Gen 4. He was too fast. He hit shit way too hard. He was too hard to kill. And people said, fuck this. Go let him play with God. You know? Garchomp, alongside Tyranitar, had that reputation of being not only good, not only being solid, but being phenomenal in every single generation of OU he was in. Then Gen 9 rolled around and power creep got so bad. Now both of my boys are, you know, been sent down to the lower tiers, and you know, it's a heartbreaker, but you know, change has to happen, I suppose. But Garchomp, I mean, he ran shit. I don't remember if he got banned in Gen 5 or not. I want to say he might have gotten banned to Gen 5 Ubers as well. Because, you know, he's just that good. I mean, fucking, when Garchomp starts outraging, there's nothing you can do to stop it. You know, unless you, I mean, shit, fucking Gen 5, there was a whole strategy called Drag Mag. Shout out Magnezone. He's one of my fucking goats. Where you would just have a shit ton of Dragon-type Pokemon, including Garchomp if he was legal, but I don't think he was. And then you would have Magnezone, who would Magnet Trap and kill all the Steel types who resisted, you know, Garchomp's outrages. And then you would just get rid of the Steel types, and then there was nothing to stop him. And that's so fucking sick. That's so badass. The fact that Garchomp, you know, there's a whole strategy around just getting rid of the few Mons who just resist his attacks, and once they're gone from the playing field, he just wipes house. It's just game over after that. That's so sick. That's so badass. Well, let's talk about that design. This giant land shark kaiju monster. Listen, you look at Dragonite, I wouldn't believe you unless you told me that was a Pseudo. Salamence, he looks like he desperately wants to be a Pseudo Legendary, but with like Metagross, Tyranitar, and Garchomp, you look at that and you know this dude means business. This dude's serious. This is a fucking strong-ass mon. That's just my way of saying he's got a sick, imposing design. The fucking fin, like the scythe, well, the like fins on his arms literally become scythes when he Mega Evolves. You know, the little spikes on his arms and his thighs. And once again, second generation in a row where the champion's ace is the Pseudo Legendary. And listen, Cynthia's not that hard. It's a Pokemon game. They're made for children. It's not hard. She's not hard to beat. However, that Garchomp can make a mess, can run amok and destroy your entire plan if you were not careful around it. But Garchomp's sick. Garchomp's awesome. I think for a while I probably would have told you Garchomp was my favorite Pseudo Legendary, but shout out to T-Tar. He built different. We got another S tier. This is gonna be a very top heavy tier list. Hydreigon. I just told you with T-Tar, if it's a kaiju, if it's a Godzillamon, I'm gonna love him. This is just fucking King Ghidorah. This is just King Ghidorah, but he's blue and purple, blue and magenta, blue, black, and magenta instead of yellow. Automatic S tier. I don't even think I need to explain anything after that. But I'm going to anyways. Hydreigon, where do I even start? Dragon type, badass. Dark type, favorite typing. He was the first Pseudo Legendary actually, whose highest base stat was not his attack. Dragonite, T-Tar, Salamence, Metagross, and Garchomp, all of their highest stats is their attack. Hydreigon broke the mold. His highest stat is his special attack. He's a special attacking monster. And goddamn is he good at it. I guess he also kind of repeats the, once again, 3 in a row, ace, or last, not the champion because Gen 5 does it slightly differently, but the last trainer you fight gets this. Spoiler alerts for that 15-year-old game. His ace Pokemon, his ace is an illegal Hydreigon. It's a Hydreigon that's too low of a level. And that is one thing that kind of knocks Hydreigon down a little bit. You know, all the pseudos are slightly inaccessible. Hydreigon, unless you want to over level for the champion in both Black and White, in both Unova games, is impossible to get in the base game. You know, if you do Nuzlocke rules where you can't level up higher than the next gym leaders or the next, boss trainer's ace, you can't get Hydreigon. He evolves at like level 67 or some horse shit like that. But I don't know, man. He's worth it. So sick. Just blast a motherfucker with Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse. He's also just like evil incarnate. He's like his Unova Dex entries talk about how like the Unovans thought this thing was the incarnation of evil itself, which is sick. I mean, just further playing into like the evil King Ghidorah thing. But I mean, really, that's all I have to say about him. I mean, he's King Ghidorah. That's all I need to say. Now unfortunately, I gotta put Goodra in D tier. Listen, Goodra dropping March 15th. Goodra, I remember when Gen 6 came out. I was convinced Noivern was going to be the Pseudo Legendary when he got revealed, but he wasn't. Not a base stat total of 600, only a 2-stage mon. When I found out that fucking Goodra was the Pseudo Legendary, I cannot even begin to describe to you the disappointment in, oh god, how old was I? 11? I can't even begin to describe the disappointment in 11-year-old Peyton's heart. Look at this thing. That's not a Pseudo. T-Tar's a pseudo. Dragonite is a pseudo. Goodra? I'm supposed to look at this thing and go, this thing's as strong as some legendaries. This thing has this thing has a higher base stat total than some legendaries. You know, like legendary dogs, I only got 580. Legendary birds, I only got 580. This motherfucker has 600. This motherfucker has more stats than them. Bullshit. It's also a very, you know, it's not a very sexy base stat total. It's a defensive mon. It's a special wall, which, bro, what? You're telling me your pseudo legendary for the generation? Their whole thing is they can take hits real well? I don't want that in my pseudo. I want my pseudo legendary to be a Pokemon like Garchomp, like T-Tar, who knows super fucking strong moves and can delete anything in my path. You know, I go through all this time to get this rare Pokemon, level them up to this absurdly high level on, like, you know, the slowest possible EXP rate. And you're telling me, oh, this thing's not even all that great. I mean, it's decent at killing things, but its strong suit is, it's hard to kill. Listen. I don't care. It's unappealing. There are other mons that are cooler. Like if I want a special wall, they got plenty of like regular old mundane mons who are very good special walls, and you know, who are cooler and aren't a waste of their goddamn region's pseudo legendary slot. I don't really fuck with Goodra all that much. In the context of pseudo legendaries, Goodra sucks. I hate it. In the context of like normal Pokemon, it's alright. It's okay, but when we're talking about pseudo legendaries, okay, alright, that's not enough. You gotta be so much more than that. Hisuian Goodra! God, that art's not flattering for it. I think I just gotta put it in the same tier, but slightly higher. It's the same thing, except, you know, it's a defensive wall instead of special defensive. I mean, it's steel type, which is cool. I mean, steel type, shout out to it's like my second favorite typing. But like, man, the shell looks ugly. I think it's like I don't know. Goodra as a design is whatever. It's alright. It's kind of boring. It's kind of plain. Like this goopy dragon. But then it becomes like a goopy snail dragon. I don't know. I'm looking at the art. It's not very flattering for it. It's ugly. It's gross. But I mean, this is the D tier. It's the Good. Hold on. The Goodra tier, because I don't really fuck with it. But that's all I really got to say about Goodra, unfortunately. Up next, we have another mon who I have flipped on quite a bit. But I'm gonna put Komo-o. He's going in A tier, right above Metagross. So when I first met Komo-o, when I first got introduced to him, my first ever playthrough, my first and only ever playthrough, a Gen 7 actually, I saw it, and I thought it was awesome. A dragon fighting type. Now, back when Sun and Moon came out, when I was in, oh man, 8th grade? Fuck. So I was, what, 14? When I was like 14, fighting type was like my favorite typing. Komo-o, he's sick, he's badass, he looks cool as fuck. You know, he's fairly accessible in Sun and Moon. You can encounter your own Komo-o right before the final totem Pokemon, which is in itself a Komo-o. Excuse me, boy's gotta have his monster. Nice good old 1 a.m. monster. He was sick, he was awesome. But, like, I had him on my team, and I don't know what was going on with that playthrough, but, like, I swear to God, my team sucked. Now, granted, part of it was that I was very underleveled, because I was in a point in my life where I did not want to grind in Pokemon games. I just wanted to fight the cool trainer battles. But that's a skill issue on my part. But Komo, he didn't really do much for me. Granted, no one was doing much for me, but he didn't do much for me. He's got, like, that Z move, but Z moves I never really cared for. They were never all that interesting. It was cool, though, that he got his own unique Z move. I do like that the pseudo-legendary for the region, got their own, like, you know, regional gimmick. Because, you know, no Gen 6 Pokemon got a Mega Evolution, so Goodra was never getting one. But, you know, Yeah, no, Goodra didn't get a Mega Evolution. Komodo did get a Z move, though, which I do like, which I do think is cool. I don't believe Dragapult got a Gigantamax either, though. Did it? I gotta look that up now. It didn't. Yeah, that's fake. That's not real. Wow. Yeah, so Komodo was the only pseudo to get, like, a regional gimmick for him. That's stupid. Why did only Komodo get it? I mean, Mega Goodra probably wouldn't have been that cool, and it also would have been way too strong. But they gave other... T-Tar got a Mega, Garchomp got a Mega, Metagross got a Mega, Salamence got a Mega, and the generation that Goodra came out, all but like 2 pseudos beside itself didn't get a fucking Mega, and one of them was, and you know, 2 of them came from a generation that got no Megas, at least not in X and Y. I still can't believe Dragonite didn't get one. You'd think they'd give the Gen 1 Mon a fucking Mega, but I guess not. But I guess, you know, but then immediately they stripped it away from him. You know, no more Z moves. Komodo doesn't get his signature little thing. But they did give him a signature move, which, you know, was nice. It was very kind of them to do that. They could have just taken away his Z move and said, nope, eat shit and die. But they gave him a signature move that kind of replaced his Z move. That was very kind of Game Freak, and I'm glad they did that for my boy. But I became really sour on Komodo, because I found out that, like, at least for a while, competitively, he wasn't great. He wasn't all that good, and, like, come on, man. Come on, you got a base stat total of 600. You know, you're the Pseudo Legendary. Everyone else, with, like, the exception of, well, no, Dragonite has some bullshit he could do in Gen 1 OU. But, like, every Pseudo Legendary has been good competitively in their debut generation. But, like, I think Komodo finally, they developed him and he became good. But I just remember I was really sour on him for a while because you know, turns out, I don't know, somehow it got planted in my brain that Komodo sucked. And that broke my heart, and it just, you know, it disappointed me. But eventually I came back around and I'm like, nah, the design is way too raw. Komodo is definitely one of the sickest names. I just like the naming convention for his line. I haven't been taking into account the entire evolutionary line when I'm doing these rankings, and I'm not going to. But for the most part, all of the pseudos, their first or second stage, usually both, are very unimpressive. Dragonite's the only one where, like, I really particularly am fond of their first 2 stages. Everyone else's are kind of, you know, they're gross, ugly, you know, they really make you work for that badass Mega. But, I mean, that's a dock on everyone but Dragonite. But, yeah, Komodo, he's sick, he's awesome. Dragon fighting type, that's sick. He's raw. Dragapult, I know the least about, because I have not played Gen 8. But Dragapult, he's alright. He's pretty cool. I'm putting him right below Metagross. Ghost typing is sick. I do like, he also broke the mold alongside Goodra. He's the only other pseudo, he broke the mold alongside Hydreigon and Goodra, I want to say. The 3 of them are the only pseudos where attack isn't their best stat. Goodra has special defense, Hydreigon has special attack, Dragapult has speed. Dragapult's fast as a motherfucker. And, I mean, if you play competitive to any degree, you have to know about Dragapult, because that speed's probably, like, the most important stat in all of competitive Pokemon. And so, just because of the fact that he's so fucking fast, and his other stats are also very good, from the basis of, you know, being a pseudo-legendary, you know, Dragapult's really fucking good in competitive. He's great, amazing even. Amazing even. And, you know, that definitely gets him bonus points. I love his design. I love that he's, like, you know, a little ghost. I love his little ghostly little tail. I love that, its whole gimmick is that, you know, it's the first stage of its evolutionary line. Like, he launches them from his little head. Like, his head's like a fighter jet. And, like, you know, he has little missiles he shoots, and it's just, like, baby versions of himself. I love that. That's awesome. Definitely one of my favorite designs, or favorite design concepts from Gen 8, by far. But like I said, unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with his game. But both, you know, in the aspect of quoting the Shaq meme, and also I never played Sword and Shield. I got like I very briefly played it. I never even got to the first gym fight. So you know that's unfortunate, but he's cool. Salute to him. You know, pay my respects. Last one on the list. We're ending it with another S tier. Probably he's my second favorite pseudo. It's Baxcalibur. So he's Godzilla, plain and simple. That's just fucking Godzilla. And same thing as Hydreigon. I could leave it at that, and we could move on, and we could have a nice day. But I'll go into it slightly more. Point 1, he's Godzilla. Point 2, cool typing, Ice Dragon. I think he's Kyurem was the first Ice Dragon, but you know, Ice typing, it really stands out amongst the other pseudos. It's the only one that's unique, I believe. Komodo, Dragapult, and Baxcalibur all have a unique typing. You know, with Fighting, Ghost, and Ice, respectively, which makes them neat, which makes them cool. Oh, and Garchomp has Ground type, whatever. And okay, a lot of them have fucking unique typings. Scratch that point. Dragon Ice is a sick typing, absolutely fucking monstrous offensive typing. Glaive Rush, he has a signature move, always a bonus point. Glaive Rush, sick fucking move. I mean, he fits into the archetype that I already said that I like with my pseudo legendaries. They fucking do a gorillion damage, and they wreck house, and they fuck shit up. And Baxcalibur does that just as good, if not better, than like all the other ones. I believe he just has the highest attack out of all of them. I mean, he got banned to Ubers. He was too good for Scarlet and Violet OU. Really good ability, Thermal Exchange, you know, basically getting rid of that. Well, it's not a fire weakness because he's dragon type, but you know, can't be burns, you know, and like, I think just immune to fire type? I don't remember. Sick ability is the main point. I mean, really, that's all it boils down to. Absolutely killer design. He's Godzilla, goddammit. He's fucking Godzilla. End of discussion. And end of tier list at that point. Yeah, hopefully this one was a lot quicker, a lot shorter. Like I said, I just need to get one. I just need to slam this shit out. I'm in the middle of a move. Shit has been so goddamn stressful. But if you stayed till the end, I appreciate it. Shout out to you. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.